are you a farmer?
Because I enjoy being outside doing just what we're doing right here.
And what are you doing here?
Harvesting.
What are you harvesting?
Corn. The corn is ready for harvest, so after it's dried down to the point where we don't lose any more, but then so it won't cost us as much to dry. That's when we start harvesting.
So the grain has to be at a specific dryness?
Yeah, it has. We're paid for it at 15.5% moisture. Anything below that doesn't help us, but anything above that, it's going to cost us to dry it.
So you harvest it with the combine, and then you load it in a truck and you take it to a grain elevator?
Yeah.
Where is the grain elevator?
Where we're hauling this corn to is about 6 miles from here.
And what do they do with it?
Troy. That's through Manel Milling, and they buy wheat because they're a milling company, but they handle corn, beans, wheat, everything.
So then they take your grain and they sell it to somebody else?
Yeah.
Where does it go from there?
Being there on the railroad, that most of it gets hauled to probably could be to the East Coast for a lot of the chicken farms over there and hog farms, and some of it probably does go down to New Orleans to be exported.
Exported to
whoever buys it. I mean, anywhere around the world. Our corn goes everywhere.
Okay. You're familiar with biodiesel. Does any of your corn go for making biodiesel?
Not that I know of. I mean, we haven't hauled it in directly to any place.
There are biodiesel plants here in Ohio?
Yeah. I don't know how many are here in Ohio, because I know that more farmers have built biodiesel plants out west. But
what do you think of biodiesel?
I think it's better. To me, I think it makes more sense for biodiesel because you can burn about anything in a diesel engine. So you can make biodiesel from about anything. So, which is better than using corn for ethanol, but then ethanol fits in between as we try to make changes in where our fuel comes from. So,
do you as a farmer ever think about your carbon footprint?
Yeah, because being a farmer, when we do tillage, we use up carbon, but then that depletes the soil. But we've been no-tilling since 1980, and we know that we are building our soils up, which is keeping the carbon in the soil. We're banking the carbon in the soil.
Is that something important to you?
Yeah. We know by doing that we're leaving the soil in better shape than what it was before.
Your father farmed also. He just recently passed away, and until recently he farmed also. Okay, where did he farm?
Mostly he grew up on a farm where Tom Cloud Park is North Dayton, and then moved out to the farm where Carrie Hill Farm Park is.
Okay.
Moved to where we used to.
That was on 201, right there in Huber Bay. And his father farmed also?
Yes.
Where did he farm?
Where the Tom Cloud Park is.
Okay. And your grandfather farmed, or your great-grandfather farmed?
He farmed in closer to Dayton,
Okay. Do you have any idea where that was?
Roughly. I couldn't show you the exact spot, but I know the general area of it.
And how close into Dayton was it?
Intersection of Stanley Avenue and Troy Pike.
Okay. So that's very urban now.
Yes.
Okay. That's a major intersection right there. And before that, somebody farmed at where Huffman Metro Park is now?
That would have been Dad's mother's family.
Oh, and that was the Myers.
Yes.
Okay. And they had a dairy farm there?
Yeah.
Okay. And part of their farm is now Wright-Patterson Air Force Base?
The original farm they bought is.
Okay. Changes in population impact your farm?
Yes.
So as Dayton grew, it kind of grew out in concentric circles and pushed you further and further away?
In the direction that we were from Dayton, yes. It grew out. Well, there's suburbs that grew, like Huber Heights, sprouted up, so that took more ground. So you sell and capitalize on that and purchase a new farm, and so far it's happened a couple of times where you thought you were far enough away, but eventually development
the city caught up with you.
Development catches up, and generations essentially keep moving farther out from Dayton as development comes out. Eventually you're bought out, and if you're going to farm, you basically have to move farther away, and it finally catches up to you again, and you might sell that and then buy more ground.
What kind of crops do you grow?
Normally you rotate year to year what was planted in corn. You'll switch to soybeans and wheat, or you switch to the beans from one year to plant corn in the soybean ground.
Why do you do that?
For to reduce the insect vulnerability populations. If you plant corn to corn, you can do that, but you might have a higher level of some insects that are detrimental to corn that if you plant it into soybeans, it's a lower population possibly that's in that ground, so rotating year to year.
So it's about pest control?
Pest control, weed control.
What kind of crops do you grow?
Corn, beans, and wheat.
How do you decide what to plant where?
Because we like to rotate. Usually we try to do half and half.
So half corn, half beans?
Half corn, half beans, and when we fit the little bit of wheat we grow, we fit in between there, so we get another crop in the rotation to help stop disease and bugs.
What are you harvesting right now?
Corn.
And you're growing corn in this field, but in other fields you're growing soybeans.
Yes.
How do you decide what crops to plant?
A lot of it is the market projections of what the next year's looks like as far as demand and supply. Some of it's supply. If it looks like one's going to be shorter, you may want to plant more of that crop because the price is probably going to increase, so you can try to capitalize on a bigger demand for that crop that's short.
How does the economy affect what you plant?
It affects what people buy. There's a lot of products made out of processed corn or soybeans that if people don't have as much money to spend, they may not purchase as much of those products to eat. Same as a lot of corn goes to, well, corn and soybeans for feed for livestock, and beef is a pricier product to buy, so you don't have the money to spend on beef, then there's less demand for beef, so in return the demand for corn is going to be down because there's oversupply of beef, so there's supply and demand. If there's not enough and there's big enough supply, not enough supply, then the price is going to increase.
Well, corn and soybeans go into a lot of non-food products too, don't they?
Yes.
Does any of your crop go into non-food products?
It does in some way, depending on where you haul the crop and sell it. There's certain processors, if you take it to Cargill, they make the product that they make, but then they sell the byproducts that they produce to someone else for feed or other manufacturing to produce product for other things. Corn, there are some byproducts that are produced that even get put into explosives and
biodiesel?
Biodiesel, plastic bags.
Who do you sell the bulk of your crop to?
It's usually a local co-op or elevator local, but Cargill's an in processor, and there's Cargill's close too, so if we have the opportunity, we try to haul it to Cargill.
What does Cargill make?
Corn fructose, corn syrup, starch. There's byproducts from that they sell and ship down to Cincinnati to the river, and it's put on barges to take to the New Orleans and shipped out on ships to other countries.
So you're feeding more than just the local area. Where does your corn product go to?
The corn product.
Well, the corn you produce ends up where could it end up?
It could potentially end up anywhere in the world. If you're selling it to your local co-op or grain elevator, they turn around and sell it and ship it out on semis or trains. It may go to a port somewhere and be loaded on ships and hauled to the country halfway around the world.
So it could be feeding people in Asia or Africa?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I like it. It's good to feed the rest of the world. It makes a market for our product.
How do you decide what crop to plant where?
We decide by what the market looks like it's going to be as far as the rotation. Usually it's where you planted corn the one year, you're going to switch it to soybeans the next, and it's the opposite with soybeans. You're going to switch that to corn.
Why?
It helps control weed populations and insect populations.
And how does that help you as a farmer?
When you don't have those pressures or greater pressure, then potential yield is going to be better, depending on what the weather is.
Do you have to use not as much pesticide then, or?
Potentially, yes. It could be quite a bit less.